Hey everybody, Happy New Year! Hope you're doing great. I hope you had a Happy New Year. Did you stay up till midnight and say Happy New Year? I hope you had a great Christmas too. Hope you had some great time with your family. Hope you had fun. Hope you remembered the meaning of Christmas and God sending Jesus to earth to be with us, to be one of us. Maybe you got some cool stuff for Christmas. I got this cool sweater. And today we're going to be talking about the world of the tabernacle as we start the new year. It's 2020. No, it's not. It's 2021. I'm going to be doing that for a whole month, I bet. Maybe you will too. But it's 2021, and we're starting a new year, and we're starting a new series talking about the tabernacle. You might not even know what that word tabernacle means. Well, you're going to learn, and we're going to talk about what it is and why it's so important. And if you're not able to join us on Sunday mornings here live in the arena for FAC Kids Go live, this video is for you. You can keep up with what we're doing on Sunday mornings. So as we talk about the tabernacle, one thing we're going to say over and over is that God is always with us as we live for him and serve him. We're going to talk about a lot of different things in there, but it's really easy to remember. God is always with us as we live for him and serve for him. And today we're going to talk about the fact that God is always with us. Maybe not quite how we think God is always with us. Might be different than what you're used to, but that's okay. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So first, before we get on with that and we talk about the tabernacle, we're going to talk about following directions, following instructions. Now, some instructions are like this: don't do something. But we're going to be talking about the kind of instructions that go with something like this. Did you get any Legos for Christmas? This is the gigantic, enormous, thousands of pieces Millennium Falcon set that I didn't get it for Christmas. Boy, I'd love to get that one for Christmas. But maybe you got some Legos. And if you got some Legos, I'm sure that if you wanted to build what's on the box, you had to follow the instructions. You had to do step by step what the instructions say in order to make what is on the box. Now, if you just want to build Legos and you don't care, you don't need instructions. But if you want it to look like what's on the box, you've got to follow the instructions. And so the instructions we're going to talk about today have to do with the tabernacle. Now, maybe you've seen this movie, the Lego movie. We're going to show a little clip of it here live in the arena, where Emmett wakes up in the morning and has his morning routine, but he has to follow the instructions about how to do his morning. It's probably something he does every day, but he always follows the instructions. And so we're going to talk about following instructions, following directions, and we're going to watch this little video clip. I can't put it on YouTube. They'll take my video down. But if you've never seen the Lego movie, it's a great movie, and you should get it. You should ask mom or dad. It's a really fun movie. But the very beginning of it is what we're going to show here live in the arena. So as we keep going and talking about the tabernacle, what is the tabernacle? Well, this is what people think the tabernacle might have looked like. It's really the worship place for the people of Israel when they were traveling through the desert after they got out of Egypt and Moses was leading them. And you can see it has a big curtain around the outside like a wall. And this area inside is called the courtyard. And then you'll see a couple of articles in there, a couple of things, big things, and you'll see this tent. So we're going to talk about all of what all of that means. And you can see around here, God even had instructions for where the people should camp, what places the different tribes should camp outside of the tabernacle. But this is something they could take down when it was time for them to move on, and they could carry it with them, and they could have, this meant that the presence of God was with them. We'll talk about that in a little while. You can see this cloud. They would see cloud by day and fire by night, and they would know that God was with them there in the presence of the tabernacle, in the presence of this worship meeting tent place that they built. And so here's what that looks like from the top. And people think that this is about what it looked like because they've taken the directions that God gave in the Bible and kind of mapped things out just to try to say, what did this look like? What was God talking about? And so you can see that courtyard outside that I showed you in the picture. And then you can see the tent, and there's some other things in there that we're going to talk about all of the things that are in the tabernacle and what they mean. They're all very important. And a lot of them help us not just understand that God's with us. Some of those things even help us look ahead way many years after this happened to Jesus. So we'll get to that in a little while, in a few weeks, I mean. But some of the articles that were around or a part of the tabernacle one is the Ark of the Covenant. That's the most important one. You might have heard about that. That was inside of the tent. That was the Ark right there in this part of that tent. So we have the Ark of the Covenant. We have the table of showbread. They would give bread, use bread for offerings to God. And so they had a table there, and they would put bread on it to remind them of God's provision, God providing for their needs. And then they had a lampstand that they would always keep lit so they could see, and it reminded them of the light of God and the presence of God. And they had this altar of incense. They would burn incense, and the smell would remind them of prayers that were going up to God. And God talks about the incense and how prayers are kind of like incense going up to him. And so they had an altar of incense. They had a bronze, what's called a laver, and they would wash themselves in it. They needed to be clean before God, and so they would wash themselves. And then they had, this was really big. It was a huge burnt offering altar that they would sacrifice animals to for offerings that God had them do. It was kind of a strange thing, and we'll talk about what that means in a couple of weeks. But that's another piece of it. So you can see what that looks like, and all those things had a very important part of making the tabernacle happen. And as we talk about the tabernacle today, we're reminded, we already said that God is always with us. And so the people, like I said earlier, they saw that here at the tent, the cloud would be there during the day, the fire would be there at night, and they knew that God's presence was with them. And if the cloud or the fire were to move, they would know it's time to move, and they would pack all this up, and they would pack all their things up, and they would follow God's cloud or God's fire, his presence. They would follow it wherever he wanted them to go. And so as we talk about how they were able to figure this out, God gave them instructions. God gave them very specific instructions about how to make all of these things, and how big it should be, and how long it should be, and how tall it should be, and all these things. Moses went up to the mountain. God called him to come up to the mountain, and he said, I'm going to give you instructions about how to make a worship place, a place that I can be with my people. God wanted to be with his people, and he had very specific instructions that he told Moses, hey, I want you to have the people make this thing so that I can be with them. And so they had to follow the directions. Moses went up there. God told him the things, and we read that in the book of Exodus. And we don't know what Moses did, how he wrote it all down, but he took it to the people, and he had the people build it. They had to follow the instructions, just like we have to follow the instructions to build Legos. They had to follow Moses' instructions that he got from God in order to build this place where God said, I want to be there. I want to be with you. And then when they were able to make it, and it looked like what God wanted them to make, God was with them. It was pretty cool. And so you can even see this verse. It's that God says, then have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them. Make this tabernacle and all its furnishings exactly like the pattern I will show you. And that's in the book of Exodus. So God's talking to Moses, telling him, hey, I want you to make it exactly like I tell you. And so when we think about what this looked like for the people and how God wanted that to be made, just specifically for that, here's a question I want you to think about. Is God not always with us? Is God ever not with me? Because when I think about the fact that we say God is always with us, and we kind of think, but yeah, we've talked about that before. God is always with me, and I remember that. We've talked about that here on our videos online, and we've talked about that here in the Arena Live. But here's the question, is God ever not with me? Is God ever not with me? Let me think of it this way, or let me help you think of it this way. Let's talk about this. If you have some friends come over, and they knock on your door, and they want you to come outside and hang out, you have a choice to make, don't you? You can come to the door, you can open the door, you can see your friends, you can say hi, you can talk to them, and even then you can still have a choice to make. You can say, you know what, I'm not going to come out. I don't want to play with you. I don't want to hang out with you right now. You could close the door. I'll see you later. Or you could open the door and you could say, hey, come on in, you guys. Let's hang out. Let's play a game. Or let's get together outside. Let's go together outside. When people come to your door and knock on the door, you have a choice to make. Now, these people are not always outside the door of your house, are they? No, they have places to live and they have things to do. But when they want to be with you, when they want to come see you, they come and they knock on your door. So the question, is God ever not with us? Well, no. God is always with us. But there's something we need to think about, because this is a very famous picture. A lot of people have drawn a picture like this, but you can see it's Jesus. And what's he doing? He's knocking on the door, right? Now, this is supposed to represent Jesus wanting to be with us. I'm not a house. You're not a house. But if we pretend, or if we think about how our lives are like something that someone can come into, and we've talked about that before, Jesus coming into our lives. We know God is always with us. But when Jesus comes and knocks on the door, he says, I want to be not just next to you, with you. I want to live inside of you. I want to help you make good choices. I want you to know how much I love you. I want you to think about good things. I want you to say things to people and love people the way that I show you how to love. I want you to obey your mom and dad and show you how to love them. Jesus wants to be in our lives, in here where we feel and understand, here up in our minds where we think and understand. He wants to be in. And so when he knocks on the door, he's not knocking on a real door for our lives. He's saying, I want to come in. I want to be with you, a part of you. Now, do you notice something about this door? There's no doorknob, is there? The doorknob's on the inside, and we have the choice to open that door and to say, yes, Jesus, I want you to come in to my life. Or we can keep the door shut and say, you know, I'm good. I don't think I want you to come into my life. Well, here's the thing. Unlike your friends who don't stand outside your door all the time, Jesus is always with us. God is always with us. He's standing outside that door. He's always with you wherever you go. You can't go anywhere where he is not there with you. God is always with us. But we need to remember, we still need to invite him to be in our lives. We have a choice everywhere we go, every day when we wake up, everything we do. We can say, yes, God, I want you to be a part of what's going on in my life. I want to think about you and read about you in your word and learn about you and have you help me when I'm angry or scared or sad or lonely. I want you to help me understand things when I'm confused. We can say that to God, or we can say, you know what? I know God's with me and I'm just going to kind of keep the door closed. I hope you don't make that decision. But we have to remember that even though God is always with us, we still need to ask him to come in. We still need to open our lives to let him be a part of us. Now, was God with the Israelites? He sure was. But he wanted to be a part of their lives, everything they did. And do you see where all the Israelites are camped all the way around? And what's the center? What's the middle? What's the main thing? The tabernacle and God's presence with them. God says, I want you to follow the instructions. If you want to open your door of your life, if you want to be a part of me, I'm going to have you build this thing because it's important for me to know, God says, that you want me to be with you. And this is one way God says, if I know that you build this, I know you're going to want to be with me. And when we wake up every morning and we open our eyes and we say, good morning, God, I'm so glad you're with me today, and I want you to be in my life, and I want you to help me make good choices, and I want you to help me see things the way you see them. That's like us building a tabernacle. It's like us following the instructions to say, hey, God, I want to open the door for you. I want you to be in my life every day. I want to learn from you and grow and know your love every day. So when the Israelites built the tabernacle, they weren't just going through steps and God said, okay, you've done your thing, now everything's right. God says, I want to know that you want me to be a part of you. I want to be with you. I want a place where I can be with you all the time. And that's a big reason why God had the Israelites build this tabernacle, so that they would always remember he is with them. and he wants to be in their lives. And he told them specifics because it was very important for them to be thinking about exactly what God wanted them to do, and for them to say, yes, God, I want to do what you want me to do, and I want you to be a part of my life. So God is always with us, but remember, we still need to invite him in. We still need to let him come into our lives every day and invite him in and say, God, I want you to be a part of my life today. I hope you'll make that choice this week. I hope you'll decide that that's what you want to do every day when you open your eyes and wake up, before your feet even hit the ground. God, I want to have this day with you. I want to have you in my life and have you helping me and teaching me and growing me and all the cool things that God does in our lives every day. He's always with you, but invite him to be a part of your life every day. That's week 1 of the Tabernacle. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. Thanks for being with us today. And remember, you can always join us here now. We're going to be open every Sunday here at FAC Kids Go, live here in the arena. And if you're not able to come and join us, you can find these videos every week and keep up with what we're doing. Also, hopefully you got your journal in the mail that's also talking about the Tabernacle. If you need a journal, you can get in touch with us through our social media or an email, kids@faclex.com. Have your parents get in touch with us. We want to make sure you stay connected with us and with God. And so we hope you have a great week. Remember, God is with you. Invite him to be a part of your life every day. And we will see you next time. Bye, friends.